Welcome, parents, to KOEIGO's STEAM and Language Schools programming course at Zion Christian School International. We're going to be diving deep into what your kids are experiencing in their programming class. You can think of this as your cheat sheet to understanding all the cool things they're learning about code.
It's exciting to see young minds grasp these concepts, especially with tools like code.org that make it so fun and engaging.
Yeah. Last week, your kids continue their journey on code.org's Course C curriculum. It's like their coding boot camp designed specifically for beginners. They've been tackling things like debugging, loops, and even making art with code. Now, I know some of those terms might sound like another language, so let's break them down a bit.
Well, think of debugging like solving a puzzle. Imagine your child is working on a maze, but the directions have some errors. Debugging is like being a detective, finding those errors in the code and fixing them step by step. It's all about problem solving and attention to detail.
So it's like those spot the difference puzzles, but for computer instructions. And what about loops? My kid mentioned those. Are they like some kind of coding magic trick?
Kind of. Loops are a way to avoid writing the same code over and over again. Imagine building a giant tower in Minecraft. Instead of placing each block individually, you can use a loop to tell the computer, hey, place 100 blocks in a row. It makes things so much faster.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So it's like the copy-paste function for building a virtual world. But it sounds like it's not just about building and fixing things. They were getting creative with code too, right?
Absolutely. There's a lesson where they get to use code to basically paint a picture. It's pretty neat to see how they can control colors and shapes on the screen using just lines of code.
So they're basically like little digital artists. And I hear this week is extra special because it's the first week of the month, which means...
It's time for our Minecraft Education Hour of Code. This month, we're diving into Escape Estate.
Escape Estate. Okay, that sounds intriguing. What exactly does this Minecraft adventure involve?
Picture this. Your child is trapped in a mysterious estate filled with puzzles and secret passages. To escape, they need to use their coding skills to unlock doors, navigate mazes, and overcome different challenges. It's a great way to see how the skills they've learned, like debugging and loops, can be used in a fun and interactive way.
Wow, it sounds like something straight out of a mystery novel. So they're basically like code-breaking detectives in a Minecraft world.
Exactly. They'll need to think critically, solve puzzles, and apply their coding knowledge to find their way out of the estate.
This is incredible. I bet the kids are going to be so excited about this. It seems like they're not just learning to code, but they're learning to think like problem solvers.
That's the beauty of it. They're having so much fun, they don't even realize how much they're learning.
You know, I'm already impressed with how code.org and Minecraft Education are turning coding into something so engaging.
It's amazing how these platforms take such complex concepts and make them accessible and exciting for young learners. And what's fascinating is how these seemingly simple games can teach skills that have real-world applications.
That's what I find so cool about all of this. It's not just about playing games. It's about equipping them with skills for the future. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's go back to Escape Estate for a minute. What can parents expect to see their kids doing during this Minecraft activity? Can you give us a little sneak peek into the challenges they might face?
Well, one of the first things they'll need to do is figure out how to open the main gate to the estate. This will involve using code to solve a pattern-based puzzle, which will test their understanding of loops.
So they'll be putting those loop skills to work right from the start. I can't wait to hear all about their adventures and how they're using their code-breaking skills to escape. But I have to ask, are there any helpful tips for parents who want to support their kids during this Minecraft challenge?
Absolutely. The best thing you can do is ask them questions about their experience. Encourage them to talk about the challenges they're facing and how they're using code to solve them. And who knows, maybe you'll even learn a thing or two about coding yourself. It's all about making it a shared learning experience. Maybe even jump in and play Minecraft with them. You'd be surprised how much fun it can be to tackle these coding challenges together.
Yeah, I love that. Family Minecraft night with a side of code breaking. What could be better? But speaking of learning together, curious, what are some common mistakes kids make when they're first learning to code? Are there any like aha moments you see happening in the classroom?
One thing that often trips them up is getting the order of their code just right. It's like following a recipe. If you mix the ingredients in the wrong order, you won't get the cake you expected. We also see a lot of light bulb moments when they finally grasp the power of loops. They suddenly realize they don't have to repeat the same code 100 times. It's like a whole new world opens up for them.
It's amazing how such a small concept can make such a big difference in their understanding. But going back to Escape Estate for a moment, Is there a particular challenge in this Minecraft adventure that you think will really push the kids to use their coding skills creatively?
There's a part where they encounter a locked door with a series of colored lights. To unlock it, they need to figure out the correct sequence of colors using code. This requires them to combine their knowledge of loops and conditional statements, which is a pretty big step for them.
Wow, that sounds like a real brain teaser. So they're not just learning to code, they're learning to think logically and strategically. But let's be honest, some parents might be thinking, Minecraft is great and all, but how does this translate to real-world skills?
Hmm.
What would you say to those parents?
That's a great question. While it might seem like they're just playing a game, the underlying skills they're developing are incredibly valuable. Debugging teaches them to be meticulous problem solvers. Loops introduce them to the concept of efficiency. And using code to create art or navigate a virtual world helps them understand how to break down complex tasks into smaller, manageable steps. These are skills that are essential in any field, from science and technology to business and the arts.
It's like they're learning the building blocks of not just coding, but of logical thinking and creative problem solving. It's really setting them up for success in whatever path they choose. But I think it's important to acknowledge that not every kid is going to be like a coding whiz. What advice would you give to parents whose kids might be struggling or feeling a bit intimidated by coding?
The most important thing is to encourage them to keep trying and to celebrate the progress no matter how small. Coding is like learning a new language. It takes time and practice. Remind them that everyone makes mistakes, and those mistakes are actually valuable learning opportunities. And if they're feeling stuck, encourage them to ask for help. We have amazing teachers and resources available to support them every step of the way.
That's such a great reminder. It's not about being perfect. It's about embracing the learning process and developing that growth mindset. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the bigger picture. We've been talking about code.org and Minecraft, but there's a whole world of coding languages and platforms out there. Where do these early coding experiences fit into the broader landscape of computer science?
These early experiences are like laying the foundation for a house. They're introducing kids to the fundamental concepts of coding in a fun and engaging way. As they progress, they can start exploring different coding languages like Python or JavaScript and dive into more specialized areas of computer science like web development, app design, or even artificial intelligence.
So it's like they're starting with the basics and then branching out into different areas of expertise. That's a pretty exciting journey to be on. But before we get carried away with dreams of building robots and designing video games, let's bring it back to the present. We've covered a lot of ground today, from debugging to loops to escaping virtual estates. What's one key takeaway you hope parents walk away with from this deep dive?
I hope they see that coding is not just for tech geniuses. It's a skill that anyone can learn. And it's becoming increasingly important in our rapidly evolving world. By supporting their children's early coding experiences, they're not just helping them learn a new skill, they're empowering them to be creators, innovators, and problem solvers.
That's a powerful message. And it makes me think about all the possibilities that open up when you have that coding foundation.
Exactly. It's about equipping them with the tools to shape their own future.
Yeah, it really is. You know, earlier we were talking about how coding can be used to create art and solve puzzles in a virtual world. Kind of made me wonder, what other real-world problems could our kids tackle with these coding skills? It feels like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
You're absolutely right. The applications are practically endless. We're talking about everything from designing apps that help people stay organized to developing programs that analyze data to solve environmental challenges. Who knows, maybe the next generation of coders will be the ones to create self-driving cars or even program robots to explore other planets.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. It's inspiring to think about the impact they could have on the world. But for now, let's focus on what parents can do to support their kids right here and now. We've touched on this a bit, but are there any specific questions parents can ask to really spark their kids' curiosity about coding?
Instead of the usual, "How was class today?" try asking things like, "What was the most challenging puzzle you faced and how did you solve it?" Or, "Can you show me how you used a loop to make your code more efficient and escape a state?" These kinds of questions encourage them to think critically about their learning and articulate their thought process.
I love those suggestions. It's about turning dinner table conversations into mini coding debriefs. And I bet those conversations could even lead to some fun family coding projects down the line. But speaking of family involvement, any final tips for parents who want to join their kids on this coding journey?
Embrace the learning process alongside them. Play Minecraft together, try out some coding tutorials online, or even just watch a documentary about the history of computer science. The more you engage with coding yourself, the more you'll be able to understand and support your child's passion.
That's fantastic advice. It's about turning coding from a solitary activity into a shared family experience. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from debugging to loops to escaping virtual estates. We hope you feel more equipped to understand and support your child's coding adventures.
And remember, the most important thing is to foster their curiosity and celebrate their progress every step of the way.
Couldn't agree more. A huge thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this deep dive into the world of KOEIGO's programming course. We hope you found it insightful and engaging. Until next time, keep exploring the exciting world of code.